As Africa's leading defence news portal, DefenceWeb aims to give you the latest updates on African defence, the South African National Defence Force, and the defence industry. In this week's edition, British Empire's African soldiers to receive belated recognition, Tunisia launches another domestic patrol boat and authorises new 50-metre vessel, Egypt opens new naval base close to border with Libya, France arming Operation Barkhane Reaper UAVs, Nigeria getting 2 presidential AW189 helicopters amongst other acquisitions, and SIPRI warns arms for Mozambique will not necessarily end insurgency. In SANDF news, Army's Modern Brigade explained at Combat Training Centre Marievale not becoming 2nd SA Army Specialised Infantry Capability Base, COVID-19 inoculations for SANDF start tomorrow, Infantry Formation GOC not holding out hope for new equipment, and Project Koba-Tlala forging ahead. In industry news, Denel has a new director, Petram Sandock Maritime Systems confident their joint venture can meet Ghana's maritime security requirements, and Lockdown Level 4 puts RDM explosion inquiry on hold. In African defence news, British Empire's African soldiers to receive belated recognition. African soldiers and bearers who fought for the British Empire in little-known theatres of World War I will finally be acknowledged equally to British soldiers as the Commonwealth War Graves Commission (CWGC) originally intended. In line with this goal, the organisation set up a special committee to recommend ways to correct these omissions. The committee's special report, released in April, was compiled by the CWGC's official historian, authors on the subject, professors and specialist historians, cultural and ancestral researchers, with members coming from both the UK and Commonwealth nations, such as India and South Africa. They do not normally give interviews, and the interview below is exclusive to DefenceWeb. The reports investigated why the over 160,000 mainly African and Egyptian casualties were not remembered equally as the Commission intended, and made recommendations to the CWGC. The new information will include many South Africans who fought in that war and will become available as the research progresses. One of the contributors to the report, the South African-born World War I Africa historian Dr. Anne Sampson, told DefenceWeb, "The African campaigns were very much seen as a sideshow at the time. Other causes of a lack of documents included loss of documents and fighting and ships being sunk. For the full list of campaigns in Africa, you can find the full article on our website." Tunisia launches another domestic patrol boat, authorises new 50-metre vessel. Tunisia has received another 27-metre long locally built patrol boat and will be getting a locally built 51-metre offshore patrol vessel after its manufacture was approved by Defence Minister Ibrahim Bataji. Locally built Istiklal class vessel Duga P214 was launched by Bataji on the 7th of July at the port of Sfax. 7 vessels are being built under a partnership between the government and local private shipbuilding company Sociedad de Construction Industrielle et Navale (SCIN), the Tunisian Minister of Defence said. Also revealed by Bataji was approval for the construction of a 51-metre long patrol vessel. He said this will be a good size vessel suitable for longer patrols. Conceptual graphics of the new vessel showed it lightly armed with a remotely operated cannon/heavy machine gun and warring pennant number PSM 401. It will have a length of 51 meters and a maximum speed of 20 knots with a cruising speed of 15 knots. Range will be approximately 2,000 nautical miles. Egypt opens new naval base closer to border with Libya. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday inaugurated the new 3rd of July naval base in Gargoub on the country's northwestern coast near Libya. Egypt said the 3rd July base will help it protect strategic and economic interests as well as help guarding against irregular migration as it boosts its naval presence on the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. At the inauguration, 47 naval vessels were commissioned, including a Go-Wind corvette, 2 Italian Frem frigates, a ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems Type 209 submarine, and dozens of small boats. 2 Mistral helicopter carriers acquired from France were on display alongside a single recently delivered Lursen 60-metre offshore patrol vessel and 9 Lursen OPB-40 patrol boats. It also emerged that Egypt is operating Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters from its Mistral-class LHDs, together with AW149 medium-lift helicopters. Naval forces performed exercises that include the firing of missiles, parachute jumps, and an amphibious landing. The opening of the 3rd July base coincided with Carter 2021 exercise, one of Egypt's largest. France arming Operation Barkhane Reaper UAVs. France is arming its MQ-9 Reaper unmanned aerial vehicles UAVs with pave-way guided bombs for Operation Barkhane operations in Africa. The Armée de l'Air et de l'Espace, French Air and Space Force, will this month month put GBU-12 Payaway 2 laser-guided bombs into service on 3 of its Block 5 MQ-9 Reaper UAVs deployed to Niger in support of Operation Barkhane, Shepherd Media reports. The 33rd Surveillance, Reconnaissance and Attack Wing, SRAW, operates 12 Reapers. 6 are Block 1 aircraft. One of these has been leased since 2020 to make up for the loss of another Block 1 in 2018 to a crash shortly before landing, and the other 6 are Block 5s. The first Block 5 system was delivered in January 2020. France is in the process of acquiring another 6 Block 5 UAVs, which will be armed with GBU-12s and AGM-114 Hellfire missiles and will also be equipped with an FMS pod for intelligence gathering, Jane's reports. Nigeria getting 2 presidential AW-189 helicopters amongst other acquisitions. The Nigerian Presidential Air Fleet will soon be receiving 2 new AW-189 VIP helicopters from Italy's Leonardo Helicopters, while Super Tucanos and Chinese unmanned aerial vehicles will be delivered this month. The first AW-189, registration RRAIW, apparently serial 40968, and painted in the colors of the Nigerian Air Force's Presidential Air Fleet, was seen undergoing test flights in Italy on the 2nd of March. Then, on the 30th of June, a second AW-189 in Nigerian presidential colors was seen at Venegono, where Leonardo Helicopters has its aircraft division. The second AW-189 was wearing temporary registration RRAIL. Presidential Air Fleet is based at Abuja/Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria, and operates 2 Leonardo AW-139 helicopters next to a fleet of fixed-wing aircraft, which includes a Cessna 550, a Falcon 900, a Boeing 737-700, 2 Falcon 7X jets, and a Gulfstream G550. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force is expecting 8 aircraft to be delivered this month, including light attack turboprops and unmanned aerial vehicles. SIPRI warns arms for Mozambique will not necessarily end insurgency. As the Southern African Development Community SADC mulls operations with regard to military intervention in Mozambique, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, maintains adding new armament to the Mozambican Armed Defense Forces FADM arsenal is not necessarily in the interest of ending violence in the northern part of the East African country. SIPRI arms and military expenditure programs, Jordan Smith points out, even as military operations are considered by the Southern African Regional Bloc and the EU, adding new arms to the conflict in Mozambique risks worsening an already dire situation for local civilians, not ending it. In a commentary piece, he adds, with major concerns around transparency in military procurement and budgeting, suppliers cannot be confident about how and where their arms exports will be used. Until more is known about this impact certain weapon supplies may have on Mozambique's conflict, any external actors should carefully consider the implications of arms transfers as a response to the insurgency. Pursuing such a policy in isolation would act as a treatment for symptoms rather than an effective prevention strategy, and is unlikely to bring the conflict to a peaceful resolution. In SANDF news, Army's Modern Brigade explained at CTC. The latest addition to the landward force of the SA National Defence Force SANDF is the Modern Brigade, unveiled last week at the SA Army's premier training facility in Northern Cape. The brigade is, according to the Directorate Corporate Communication (DCC), part of the overall mandate of the Army, which is to prepare and provide combat-ready forces in line with the Joint Force Employment Strategy. The response to a Defence Web inquiry has it. Part of this goes to officers and other ranks attendance at courses and programs, and this is where, according to the National Defence Force communicators, the Modern Brigade comes in. SA Army courses require practical exercises after theory has been presented. The official response reads, continuing, the intention of the Modern Brigade is to afford members who have attended these courses the opportunity to apply their acquired theory knowledge practically. That saw Major General S.G. Hlongwa, currently acting as Chief of Army, speak at the Combat Training Center (CTC) to, in the words of the SANDF LinkedIn post, make a comparative analysis to scrutinize progress on the Modern Brigade. By way of background, the two-star general said what began as an insurmountable task, presumably making the Modern Brigade a reality, is now attainable thanks to days and weeks of hard and smart work by determined and dedicated teams that demonstrated commitment to going the extra mile. Marievale not becoming second SAASIC base. Marievale military base on Gauteng's East Rand will not become a second base for the SA Army Specialized Infantry Capability SAASIC. The base, plagued by squatters whose cause was taken as far as the North Gauteng High Court by Lawyers for Human Rights, It remains a SA Army base according to the SA National Defence Force Directorate Corporate Communications. It will, on an as yet unspecified date, add equestrian training to its range of military functions currently limited to infantry. This is in the form of the Bambatha Rifles Regiment, the former Witwatersrand Rifles Reserve Force Regiment, elements of the Infantry Formation, and guard details from 21 SA Infantry Battalion, headquartered at Doornkorp, south of Johannesburg. COVID-19 inoculations for SANDF start. Waterkloof Military Medical Centre is one of 16 SA National Defence Force SANDF vaccination sites nationally that officially opened for business on Thursday, 8th of July, to vaccinate against COVID-19. The COVID-19 rollout program, as it is titled by the National Defence Forces Directorate Corporate Communication, will inoculate uniformed, civilian and extended members of the military community. Infantry Formation GOC not holding out hope for new equipment. At least one SA Army Command Cadre senior officer appears to have given up on new equipment coming the way of the landward force. Major General Patrick Dube, General Officer commanding GOC the Infantry Formation, told unit commanders in Kimberley to preserve prime mission equipment and utilize available and specialized capabilities from neighboring units to assist wherever possible. Speaking on the second leg of what a SA National Defence Force LinkedIn post called a continuation visit to bases and units in the Northern Cape, Dube told soldiers and their commanders to preserve what they have, for which he commended them, with the kicker that, due to budget cuts, there will not be anything new. Dube's words to, among others, Army Support Base Kimberley Northern Cape Signal Unit, Kimberley Regiment, 10 Air Defence Artillery Regiment, Galashewe Anti-Aircraft Regiment, and 3 and 8 SA Infantry Battalions are another indicator of the ongoing miserly financial treatment meted out to the SANDF by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni and National Treasury. Project Koba-Tlala forging ahead. The proposed Home Guard, utilizing reserve force personnel as well as elements of the rural population to assist in, among others, protection of the critical infrastructure and prevention of rural crime, continues a space under the umbrella of Project Koba-Tlala. A recent Army Reserves retreat held Mzansi Home Guard elements include basic intelligence, community development and liaison, water and sanitation, and command incident system. The envisaged addition to the part-time components of the SA National Defence Force SANDF will provide organised and coordinated blanket coverage of South Africa's rural and semi-rural areas to enhance collection of information. This project director, Brigadier General Gerard Comfer, told the gathering of the Landward Force's senior command component of its reserves will allow the National Defence Force to be more proactive when approaching operations, as well as ensuring a speedier and more comprehensive flow of information intelligence than is currently the case. And in industry news, new Denel director. An announcement by Trouble Denel to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, JSE, sees one of 5 current vacancies on its board filled. According to the 2-sentence statement, Tshidi Magabudi was named an interim non-executive board member and interim chair of the Denel Audit Committee, effective 25th of June. Her appointment was made in terms of the handbook for the appointment of persons to the boards of state and state-controlled institutions issued by Cabinet in January 2009. Denel is confident through her skills and experience she will provide the necessary support and guidance to the board. It ends. A search brought to light, there is no such person. It appears an incorrect spelling of the newest Denel board member was either supplied to the JSE or the financial institution has it wrong. Tshidi Mongabudi is, according to the South African branch of the International Women's Forum, IWF, a member of the KPMG Policy Board as well as a member of the Financial Services Group's Executive Committee. Her career includes stints on the Financial Services Board, non-executive director of the Reserve Bank, chair of Government's Water Affairs Committee, as well as a stint as acting chair of beleated SAA. Petram Sandock Maritime Systems confident their JV can meet Ghana's maritime security requirements. African-owned maritime and defense company Sandock Austral and Petram Fortis have teamed up to offer maritime security solutions to Ghana through the newly established joint venture Petram Sandock Maritime Systems, which will be showcasing its capabilities at the International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference IMDEC in Ghana. Arthur Kweku Akayenso, CEO of Petram Fortis, said, "We are the largest defense company in Ghana, and with a proven track record of excellence, it is through partnerships like these that Africa will cease to toe the line and begin to blaze the path through innovation and creativity. It is indeed time for Africa to rise." IMDEC is the largest maritime security exhibition and conference in West Africa, and this year's edition expects to attract over 15 chiefs of navies, chiefs of air staff, and 300 international officials. One of the key topics under discussion at the conference is piracy in the region. As much as 95% of all kidnappings at sea in 2020 occurred in the Gulf of Guinea, which saw 84 attacks on ships, with 135 seafarers kidnapped for ransom in 2020, according to the International Maritime Bureau. Lockdown Level 4 puts RDM explosion inquiry on hold. South Africa's continuing battle against COVID-19 put a temporary hold on the inquiry into the September 2018 explosion at Rheinmetall Denomunition RDM in the Western Cape. The second phase of the inquiry into the blast, which left 8 people dead, was set to happen this week, from the 5th to the 9th of July, but the re-emergence of Level 4 lockdown for a 2-week period means that will not happen. The Department of Labour inquiry will resume at an as yet unspecified date. Reports have it when the first phase took place at Makassar Civic Centre in May, some witnesses declined to appear because of COVID-19 fears. To date, 13 witnesses testified at the RDM inquiry, chaired by Mpumzi Diolete, and 27 others are lined up to testify. The Department of Labour said once the inquiry establishes what transpired, officials would compile a report and recommendations to the department's chief inspector, who will hand the report to the National Prosecuting Authority for consideration in the event of a negligence finding. In late 2019, RDM said its investigators determined the explosion was caused by a particular type of electrostatic electricity. Based on extensive testing, assessments, and elimination of other initially suspected causes, the most likely cause was a buildup of electrostatic electricity and a suspended graphite cloud due to the triboelectric effect and a subsequent discharge which ignited airborne propellant in the blending drum, RDM said in a statement. Thanks for listening to the podcast. For the latest leading and trusted news in defense, aerospace, and maritime security, like and subscribe to our social media channels. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and have the latest aerospace, defense, and security developments delivered to your inbox. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.